Hey guys, it's Sam. In today's video, we are going to go over how to download Godot, what files you would need to basically export your game and put it into itch. We're also going to be going over the very general Godot workspace, and I'm going to demo how to create your own title screen. So first things first, how to download Godot. You need to go to this website, godotengine.org. This is the main website for Godot right here. So if you scroll down, it tells you more about Godot and the Godot workspace. This is a very good place to find any of the documentation and how to code in GDScript essentially. It's a very useful website if you want to learn more about Godot. For today's video, we are concerned with the download tab. So if you click download right here, it'll bring you to the downloads. So today we're going to be downloading the standard version, the 64-bit. If you are interested, however, in coding in C# as opposed to GDScript, the main language of the Godot engine, you can download this mono version right here. But today we are going to be working with the 64-bit version. Another thing that is very important on this download page, so we're not exactly done here yet. Also, if you guys have different operating systems, so this is for Windows, if you have a Mac or a Linux, it's also right there for you. So something that is very important when exporting our game today, you will be needing an export template. So it's going to be right here, export templates standard, same thing. If you are working with the mono version of Godot that has C# support, you're going to download the mono C#, but because we downloaded the standard version of the Godot engine, we are going to click this, and it's going to ask us to download this. I already have it downloaded, so it's fine. Same thing with this, if you click this, I also already have that downloaded, so it's already all set. So basically what this export template does, we will be going over how to put that into the Godot so that we can basically export our games into itch. So let's head over to Godot right now. So I have Godot open right here. When you open Godot for the first time, it's going to look like this. As you can see, I already have a bunch of Godot projects already in the making, but for today's video, we are going to be making a completely new project just to see what that process is like. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to collect new project. So we're going to need a project name. So we're just going to call this demo. We are going to need an empty folder, so I'm going to click browse and we're just going to go over. I'm just going to find a folder to put this in. For now, I'm just going to put it on my desktop, so I'm going to go up, I'm going to click desktop. If you want to make a new folder, you can create folder right here, and I'm going to call this folder demo. Okay, you need an empty folder for this to work, so this is an empty folder. I'm going to select current folder. We're going to use OpenGL ES 3.0. Now everything's done. You're just going to click create and edit, and it should open up the Godot game engine. So this is the very first thing you see when you open Godot. So let's sort of go over some of the stuff that's here. Today, we are going to be working in a 2D version of Godot. So right now we are viewing the 3D workspace. So if I hold down with my middle mouse button and I look around, this is a 3D workspace, but for today's video, we're going to be working in a 2D workspace. The way to change that is you just come up here and you select 2D, and you will be put into a new 2D workspace. So this is what that looks like. So some important tabs up here. This is your scene tab. This is how you can make new scenes, open scenes, save your scenes, undo and redo. Those are the very important ones if you also want to just quit Godot. Project is another very important one. This is where we will be exporting our game at the very end of this video. We will also be messing with these project settings right here. So just to go over what's in here, I won't be going over all of the stuff that's in here, only the stuff that we will be working with today. For now, I will show you something that we will set up for today's video. So I'm going to go down here, and under display, we're going to click window. We're going to keep it 1024 by 600. They're all done in pixels. We're going to turn resizable off. That way it stays this width and this height no matter what window we're on. We're going to scroll down all the way to the bottom for stretch, where we see the stretch right here. For mode, we're going to select 2D because we're working on a 2D. We're working on a 2D game, and for aspect, we're going to select keep. That way the aspect ratio, no matter how we change our window, is always going to be 1024 by 600. I think it'll actually prevent us from changing because we don't have resizable on. So that's something that we'll just keep. Those are the settings that we'll just have for now on the project settings. Something that's also very important that's here is this input map. So if you come over here, these are all of the keys for inputs that you would need. These are all of the ones that already come with Godot, so UI accept, select, so on and so forth. The ones that we don't have here actually is basic player movement, so up, down, left, right, and all sorts of things. Interact, things like that. We will be going over that in the Zoom meeting, so I won't be going over that today. Also, for this demo project, we actually won't be needing any user inputs other than your mouse, so we won't be messing with this one today. So we could go ahead and close that. Now let's look over here. This is our 2D scenes, or actually this is how we create a root node for these things. So if you click any of these, again, because we are working in a 2D workspace, we are only going to worry about this 2D scene. This is a node 2D node, and then this is the user interface node. If you would also create if you would like to create other nodes, you could just click this and then select which node you want to create. For example, let's say you wanted to create a player scene, you would come here, search up kinematic body 2D, which is right there. Again, if you're working on a 2D workspace, you're working with any node that is colored blue right here. If you're working in a 3D workspace, you're working with any node that is colored red. So for 2D, we will be working with this one. For today's video, we aren't going to be making a player or anything like that. So what we need is we actually need a control node, which is this one. Oops. We're going to be working with this node. So if you see, it's actually this user interface node right there. So I'm going to go ahead and click it. And now we have this empty scene. So we now have this main root node that is here. So let's keep going over some of the stuff that we see here. So in these tabs, we have the scene and the import tab. So this scene tab is specifically for seeing what nodes you have in your scene. So if I had this control node and then this control node had other children, I could access those children through here. We also have this button right here to make certain nodes visible upon loading. This button right here is the add child node. So if I have this node selected and I click add child, and let's say, let's start building our little project here. So adding onto control, we are going to add a color rect, which is that one right there. We're going to add a color rect child. So now control has a child called color rect. If we click this eye, you could toggle its visibility. You could also do this, so you could just see control and not its children. Let's say that we have a scene already created. Let's say, for example, we have created our player scene. If we click this one, an instance a scene file as a node. So basically what that means is we will be linking a scene to our main node right here. So if we had created a separate scene, for example, if we created a player scene or if we created a coin scene, the way we would add those scenes as a node into this scene is we would use this, and then we don't actually have any scenes right now, so this is why that's empty. Next important thing is this button right here. So this will attach a new or existing script to the selected node. For today's video, let me just go over what we will actually be doing in this video. What I will be showing you. I will be showing you how to create a title screen for this video. So for today, we're going to click on control. We are actually going to click this attach node script. So today we are going to be working in the GD script. So make sure you have that. Make sure you have that set right there. Inherits control. Yes, that's correct, because that's the node that we're working in. Template. This just tells you how you want, when Godot makes the script for you, it asks you how you want the script to load. If you wanted it to be completely empty, you could click that. If you wanted to just have the basics but no comments, you could have that. For right now, we're just going to have it on default. And then everything else seems good. This is the control script right there. That's going to be in our folder that we created. And then we're just going to go ahead and click create. So now it's going to bring us here. So before we go on to that, however, as you can see, now that we have created that script and attached to this node, we can always access that script by clicking this right here, the open script button. So if we go there, it'll bring us to this tab. You could also switch by doing it right here. So remember, 3D workspace, 2D workspace, and then this is the script workspace. So let's go back to the 2D workspace. Now we have this file system right here. So this file system, it's very simple. It just basically shows you the folder that you have your game project in. So any assets that you add to the folder will also appear here. Also, any scenes that you create and also any scripts that you create will also appear in this little file system. As you can see, we have the control.gd script already here. We have this icon.png, which is just always a part of your Godot project whenever you make it. What we're missing here actually is your control scene. So the way we can make that is we just come over here, we just click Control S to save. We are saving a new scene because we haven't saved it yet. We're just going to go ahead and call it, let's go ahead and call it demo. All right, there we go. So now we have this demo scene, and attached to this demo scene is the Control GD script, which again, you can access through here. All right, so let's go ahead and look over to this right side right here. So this is the inspector tab. This is how we will be manipulating certain elements that certain nodes have. For example, if we click on the color rect in the inspector tab, we can change what color it is. So if we do this, you can see it changes the color. For now, let's do a really nice color like that. That's a nice color. I'm going to press this button so we could save it as a preset for later. We have this color. You could also change the size of it. So if you want, kind of, if you guys have ever worked with any sort of Adobe application, you could do the thing where you just click and you drag on it. As you can see, it increments very slowly. So you could just grab any of these anchors right here and just pull it yourself. So I'll go ahead and do that. You can see it already edits it here. Remember from earlier that our display scene is 1024 pixels by 600 pixels. So that'll set it like that. But if you wanted to do that faster way, what you could do, let's just shrink this real quick. Click on your color rect on this layout button right here. You can go ahead and click full rect, and it will just fill in basically the whole workspace. So these are, again, how you access certain elements that a node has. In this node tab right here, it'll show you all of these signals. So what signals are basically functions that you can connect to other scripts. I will go over more on signals a little later when we start working with buttons, but for now, that's just what this is for. Next, let's go over the top of the screen right here. I kind of glossed over that earlier. So this is your select tool, so you could click and drag. If you do that, if you hold your middle mouse button, you could drag the whole workspace. There are several tools right here. So this is the move tool. This specifically only moves things. This is the rotate tool. So if you want to rotate it, things are rotated at a certain anchor point. So as you can see, the anchor point is at that top left corner. I could just spin it around like this. It's kind of crazy. Do like that. Let's just reset everything. There you go. This is the scale tool. So this is how you would essentially just scale something. But we just want it to be normal, so we're going to leave it there. We are actually going to do this, and we're going to Control C until we get, there we go, until we get it back. All right. There are several other tools right here that we won't be worrying about them. The main tool that we should really consider is, again, the select tool, because the select tool basically does everything that these tools can do. You can resize, you can edit the position, you could drag it around and move it. You can do that stuff, so on and so forth. So that's a very important tool that we should keep for later. Some other important things that are on here, we have a snap to grid. So if you guys are tedious like me and you want everything to align to a grid, you can access that. If you want to configure your snap settings, you could just come here and then just configure how wide the pixels are, or how wide the grids are, and how many steps, so on and so forth. That's also a very important tool that we could be using. Next tool is this lock tool. When you select an object, for example, this color rect, this color rect is going to be serving as a background for our title screen. So obviously we don't want to accidentally move it around like this. So we want to keep it in place. If you want to keep it in place, you can go ahead and click this lock. And now we can go ahead and click this lock. So it still shows you that I'm moving it, but if you see, I'm actually moving the whole control node and not the background node at all. So let's just go ahead and reset that position. If we wanted so that we can't move anything, I could also put a lock on that control node. Now I just can't drag anything, as you can see. So now I just can't drag anything. I'm going to go ahead and unlock this. We just don't want to be able to move this background right here. Next, this makes sure that the child's children are not selectable. So let's say you have a completed tree right here. You have a control and you have several children. And let's say you make another scene, another root node underneath this, and you want to prevent yourself from accidentally selecting children. from a different node tree. So what you could do is you could press this, and basically what that means is I can no longer select, this the child color rect. As you can see, it keeps putting me back on control instead of the color rect. That's because I can no longer select it. So let's just reset everything back and make sure I could select the children again. All right, so that's the Godot workspace. Actually, I am forgetting a few things. There is these tabs right here at the very bottom. So this is your output. So basically, anytime you change something on your workspace, it tells you what you did. Go ahead and reset that. This debugger, so anytime you guys use a print function or anytime you guys have an error, it'll all show up here. Very useful. There's audio, so in case you guys are working with any audio, this is an audio space. And then this is for an animation if you have an animation player. For today's video, we won't be working so much with these things right here, but that's just to keep in mind, that's what is down there. All right, you guys, so now that we've gone over the general workspace of Godot, we are going to get started on making that title screen for today's demo. So before we begin, we are actually going to go to our demo folder. Remember that we made this at the beginning of the video. This is the demo folder. As you can see, it has all of the same files that we see right here, excluding some other ones such as this project.godot and some of these imports. We won't be messing with those today, just this is the same folder that we have. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to create an assets folder. So we're going to click new and folder, and we're going to just call that assets real quick. So in this assets folder, we're going to go ahead and access that. We're going to put all of the assets that we will need for today's video. So I have this other assets folder right here. Now this assets folder was provided for you guys for the Godot workshop, so some of the stuff that we will be using for this demo will be the same things that are here. So I'm going to go ahead and go to fonts. I'm going to select font title. I'm going to go do Control C and Control V so I could copy it to my assets. I'm also going to get this default. I'm going to head out, and then I'm just going to go to player, and I'm just going to select this player background, and I believe that should be it. That should be all of the assets that we will be working with today in today's video. So now that we have all these assets set up, let's go ahead and start building our title screen. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to control, we're going to add a new node, and we are going to select this label node right here. So whenever you add a new node, a description will say on the bottom what these nodes do. So as you can see, it displays plain text in a line or wrapped inside a rectangle. We're going to go ahead and add that to our scene right here, make it a child of control. Now that we have it right here, if you could edit the text in this little inspector right here, we're going to do hello world. This is a demo project. So this is a demo project, so we have that right there. As you can see, it's very small. It's a very small text. It's going to be very hard to read. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to go down here. We're going to go down to custom fonts in this little control node. We're going to go click on it. You see that it is empty. We're going to click on it, and we're going to select new dynamic font. When we select new dynamic font, you can see the text disappears. The reason why it disappears, it's still there, but the reason why it disappears is because we don't have a font selected. So we're going to select dynamic font, go into font, and where it says font data empty, we are going to drag those fonts that we imported into our assets folder. Just as a note, when you create a new folder in the project folder, for example, this assets folder, and you reopen Godot, even if you just tabbed out of Godot and then you just tab back into Godot, it'll import all of the assets automatically. It happens super fast, so if you're only importing a few assets, you won't even see the progress bar. If you are importing a lot of assets, the progress bar will be very noticeable, but rest assured your assets are right here. So we're going to go into assets, and where it says font title, we're just going to drag that into font data. So now you can see we have this beautiful font. Now this font is provided by Kenny Assets. They are a public domain assets. Amazing stuff. We're going to be working with that stuff today. So now that we have this, we can go edit the settings for this font. So if I click on this inspector, I can edit the size. So let's make it a bit bigger. I think 30 is a pretty good size. We are going to keep the color. I quite like the color a lot, but if you want to change it, you could just If you would like to change the color, you could just go to custom colors, and for font color, you could just go ahead and change that color. Let's actually go ahead and change the color. Let's make it, yes, let's make it this dark blue. Looks very nice. I'm gonna go click this button again just to save the color as a preset for later. So we have that. I actually want this to be on separate lines. I want it to say hello world and then make a new line that says this is a demo project. What we're going to do, we are going to make auto wrap turned on, and now when I adjust this window, it'll do that for us. So let's do that. That looks pretty good. So we also want to align center. So for align, we will do center. That way it aligns center. And then for V align, we'll do center again. So there we go. Now we have that. Let's go ahead. Let me just make the font a bit bigger now that we've adjusted it a little bit. As you can see, as you make it bigger, you need to adjust the window again. So let's do hello world. This is a demo project. Awesome. So if you want to keep it in the center, if you hold shift while you're messing with it, it will align itself to a certain axis. So as you can see, it's snapping to the center right here, or if I do this, it's snapping to the x-axis and it snaps to the y-axis. But if you are too lazy to do that, and same, you can go ahead, go to this layout, and you could just tells you where you want to put it. So let's say if you want to put it in the top left, moves it to the top left. For now, let's put it in the center top. So that's going to be right there. Perfect. Now we have this nice little title right here. So now that we have our title right here, we're going to go ahead and add a picture on this title screen. So remember that penguin round PNG that we added to our assets folder. We're going to go ahead and add that right now. So we are going to go to the control node right here. We're going to click on create new child node, and we're going to select texture rect. So it is a control for drawing textures. We are going to create it, and as you can see, it is empty right now. The way we can amend this is in texture where it says empty. We're just going to go ahead and drag the picture of our penguin right here. So now there he is. Look how cute he is. One little thing that we will be talking about in Godot. As you can see, this texture rect is actually appearing above this text right here. Now, the way Godot displays its objects in a scene, any node that is further down in the tree will appear higher up in the layers. So as you can see, texture rect right now is at the very bottom of the control node tree. And because of that, it is appearing above the label right here. If we wanted, for example, the label to appear above the texture rect, we just gotta drag it down, and there you go. Now you can see it. Awesome. So for this little guy right here, he is a bit too big, so we are going to scale him down a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and scale him down by 75%. All right, so I have scaled him down, and I'm just going to go ahead. Let's put him right around. Let's put him right around here, just sort of eyeballing it a little bit. I think right around there is pretty good. I will just go ahead and even out these values right here, just rounding it up so it's a little nicer. So now we have that right there. Perfect. So now we have this like super simple scene right here. The next thing we're going to put actually is we're going to be putting in a button. So we are going to go to control, and we're going to add, and we're going to go search up button. So as you can see, there's a lot of buttons right here, but for now we're just going to select the normal button, a standard button. So we're going to add that into our scene. So now if we drag this to our scene, you can see that it is like this really weird text box right here. I'm just going to organize these a little bit because I just realized that they're not perfectly centered. Right around there. Again, we're going to do 0, and we're going to do 280. Yep, that's pretty good. Oh, that's still not exactly centered. Maybe 260. There we go. That seems a little better. So now we have this button right here. And if we wanted to add text to this button, just go over here, and we're just going to make this click me. So that's just going to be a very simple button right now. So that's going to say click me. I don't like the way that this button looks right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to select flat. And when we select flat, you'll notice that the weird black shadowed box goes away. So we're going to select flat, that way that goes away. And we're going to do the same thing that we did for this label right here. So we're going to go down here to where it says custom fonts. We're going to do the same thing, new dynamic font, click on it again, go to font. The text disappears, but that's fine. We're going to go ahead and drag our default font right here. So there you go, there he is. We are going to go ahead and size that up. Let's go ahead, let's do 100. Let's make him pretty big. All right, nice, there he is. We're going to go ahead and drag him just around the center right there, just kind of eyeballing it. That seems good. Let's move him a little right there. All right, perfect. So now if we play this scene, let's say we want to play this scene and we want to test it out. If you play, we don't want to do this one because this plays the whole entire project. If we want to play just specifically one scene, you could just play this play scene button right here. So it's going to go save, and then now we have this. So we have a button, but right now it doesn't work. For one thing, when we create any buttons like this using this button node, we want to make sure that when players hover over it with their mouse, that they know that it's being hovered over, and also we want to make sure that when they click on it, they know that they are clicking on it correctly. So the way that we do that is we're going to go to custom colors, just like last time. So for the font color, we're going to keep it as white. I think I really like that color a lot. For the font color H talks about the color when you hover over it. So for this, we're going to make it, let's say we make it like a nice gray. So let's do that. And then for font color P, that means when you press it, what color should it be? Let's go ahead and make it a very nice deep red, let's say. So now that we have this and we play our scene again, you can see if you hover over it, it darkens a little bit, and when you click on it, it changes to that color red. Awesome. So now we have all that set up. So let's say you want this button to do something when you click over it. So that's when we go ahead and mess with our signals. So we're going to go to node right here, and we have all of these signals right here. So we are going to be messing with this pressed right here. So basically what this means is when you press on this button, it will emit a signal to a script, and it'll call a function to do something basically. So what we're going to do is we're going to double click, and now it's going to ask us to connect this signal to a method or basically add it onto a script. Remember earlier we created a script file on top of the control node. So right now it's detecting that there is a script file there. So we're going to go ahead and connect it there. So let's say you didn't have this script right here. So let's say let's go ahead and detach the control script from this node, and let's say we go to this button and we try to put in this signal. As you can see, this scene does not contain any script, so we can't actually connect this signal to anywhere. So it's very important that you have this here. So we're going to go ahead and connect it back. We are going to go and connect control back, so we're going to go ahead and load it, and now we're going to go back to button, select press, and go ahead and connect it there. So there it is. We now have a function called onButtonPress. Basically what happens is that every time you click on this button, it will call this function onButtonPressed. So this is what the script file looks like. This is if you have the default set on, so you have all of these declarations right there. We also have this function ready, and then we have this function process delta. So for right now, we are going to be working just with function on button pressed. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually just going to select all these, and then I'm just going to delete them. I'm so sorry. Goodbye. For function ready and for function process delta, we'll be working more with that in the Godot workshop and also in the Zoom meeting. So for now, we're just going to be working on this one function, right? As you can see, this just has pass. So what this means is just when you click on it, nothing will happen. The pass function is just basically a placeholder if you have an empty function. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to replace this with something. Because we don't have any other scenes right now, we're just going to go ahead and print straight to the debugger right here. So it's going to print straight out here. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and do print. We're going to do brackets, and then we're going to do some parentheses, and we're just going to say hello world. If I could spell. Oh, hello world. And that's it. In GDScript, there's no need to put any semicolons at the end of anything. That's just the syntax and how it works. It's definitely something to get used to, especially if you're working with Java or C++ or any other script that is so used to putting semicolons at the end of your lines. It is definitely something I had to get used to. So now you have print hello world. So if we go back to our control and we play this scene right here and I click this, as you can see in the output, it's printing out hello world. So we know that button is working perfectly. Let's go ahead and add another signal. So as you can see, this button now has this little Wi-Fi signal. That means it has a connection, or it has a signal that connects somewhere on this on this node tree. Let's add another one. So let's go ahead and add another signal. In this case, we're going to do go in control and do mouse entered. Mouse entered is just a very fancy way of when you hover over something, it will trigger the signal. So let's go ahead and do the same process. We're going to double click. We're going to connect it to this control because that's where the script is, and do connect. In this function, we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to go ahead and print something to the output. We're going to do print click me, please. We're going to do a Control S to save. We're going to go back to the control, and then let's go ahead and play the scene. So now, when you hover over it, as you can see right here, every time you hover over it, it says click me please. And then now when you click it, it says hello world. So this is basically a very simple way to create a title screen. So let's change a few of these nodes so that it looks like a proper title screen for a game. So I'm going to go ahead and go to this label. Let's go ahead and call it Penguin Ice Game, which is the name of the demo game that we will be working on. Penguin Ice Game. Go here. Let's make it a bit bigger. Let's do 100. Oh, that's overkill. Maybe 80. Just adjust this a little bit. Perfect. Drag it to the middle right here. Instead of click me, we're just going to say play. And then that little guy will stay the same. And then let's just change the code for this. So instead of printing hello world, we'll just say when you click this button, it will start the game. Actually, let's go ahead and add this to the hover option. Let's just try Control C, Control V, and then in this case, we'll just say playing the game now. So this is, again, I just edited a few things, and now it's just like a very proper title screen. So now you have Penguin Ice Game. If you click, when you hover over it, it says when you click this button, it will start the game. And then if you click it, it's playing the game now. Again, super duper simple. You can add as many buttons as you'd like. For example, if you wanted to add a credits button that changes a scene to the credit scene where you could list all of the wonderful people who worked on your game, you could add that. If you wanted to add settings, if you wanted to add an exit button, that's how you would set it up as well. Again, super duper simple. So let's say that this is a finished game. I know it's literally just a title screen, but let's just pretend it's a finished game. What we're going to do is we're actually going to click this button here for the first time. So this plays the whole project again. So please confirm no main scene has ever been defined, select one. So whenever you're making a new game and you're playing the whole project, you want to make sure you have a sort of a title screen set up, because the title screen or this main scene is basically the first thing that a player will see when they open up your project or when they open up your game for the first time. So that's why it's very important to have a title screen set up before you press this play button right here. So because we have this mockup of a title screen setup, we're going to click on select. We're going to select on demo.tscn and we're going to just click open. So now that's our title screen. So it does the same thing. Hover over it, click on it, it'll just keep printing that sort of stuff. And now every time you press play, you don't get that dialog box anymore because that's where it begins with. So let's say you had a full game that had different scenes and everything like that. Whenever you would press this button, it will just play that one scene. So if you have a level, if you're selected on level 1 and you press this, it'll just open the level 1 scene. But if you press this, it will actually open the main scene, so your title screen, if you already have that set up. So now that we have this, let's say that we're ready to export our game, or our title screen in this case. It's because it's really just a title screen. What we're going to do is we're going to go to Project and we're going to go to Export. What will appear here if you're exporting for the very first time on Godot is it'll actually be asking you for an export template. So remember one of those things we downloaded earlier from the website were these export templates. You want to download these export templates on easily accessible part of your PC. So let's say your desktop. When you export something for the first time, a dialog box will open to ask you, basically asking for an export template. So all you have to do is find where you downloaded that export template and then select that, and then everything should be all set up for you. So because I've already exported several things on Godot before, I no longer have that dialog box. So we will be going over that in the workshop as well, for anyone that has trouble with that. So now that we have this scene, we're going to go to presets. This is going to be an HTML game. So what we're going to do is we're going to do add. As you can see, these are all of the presets that come with that export template. So this is if you're making the game and you want to make it for several different operating systems. For now, we're just going to work with HTML5. We're just going to click that, and now that's just the preset that we're working with. So the next thing we need to do before we click Export Project, we actually need to make an export path. So we're going to click here. We're actually going to click this folder, and then we need to go ahead and find, we're going to go ahead and export this project into a new empty folder. So I have already made a new empty folder. I'm just going to go up a little bit. It's going to be this test folder right here. So if I go to it, you can see it's a completely empty folder. The reason why we want to make an empty folder is because all of the files needed for the game needed for you to upload your game to itch will be in this folder, and we will go ahead and zip that folder and go ahead and upload it to itch. So we're going to go here. In this file right here, as you can see, it's an HTML. If anyone is familiar with coding in HTML, you need an index file. So you're going to just type index here real quick, again, in this empty folder, and you're just going to click save. So there's that export path. I'm not super familiar with any of these right here. So for now, we won't be messing with them. So we're just going to go here and we're just going to click export project, and then again it's going to ask for the same thing. Make sure you're in the correct folder, so I'm in the test folder. I'm just going to go ahead and click save. So now that was super fast, but it's basically done. I'm going to go ahead and close this. Now if I go to test, now you can see that we have all of these things here. The next thing we need to do is from desktop, we're going to go here and we're going to click send to, and we're just going to compress that folder right there. So now I have this new compressed folder. The next step is just to upload it to itch. So we're going to go here and we're going to go to itch.io. This is my itch page. We're going to go to your dashboard. We're going to go to your dashboard and we're going to create a new project. I'm just going to call this demo. Right? The kind of project, this is an HTML project, so you could play it in browser. No payments. It's just a title screen. I would be very angry if I tried to play a title screen, just a title screen, and it asked me for a donation or asked me to pay. Next, very important, uploads. You're just going to upload files. You're going to upload that zip folder that we made earlier. So just this, open that. Just waiting for it to load. It's going to be super quick because again, it's literally just a title screen. We are going to say that this file will be played in browser. We're going to click that box. We're going to go down here, Viewport Dimensions. This is very important. Remember when we set that up earlier in the video, we set that to 1024 and 600. That is very important that we do that. Next thing is we're just going to do the frame options. For now, I'm just going to do automatically start on page load because it's really simple. I'm just going to do, for details and descriptions, I'm just going to do demo for video. Genre, I'll just say that there's no genre because it's literally a title screen. Everything here seems perfect. We're just gonna, because we are uploading to itch for the first time, it's just gonna be a draft. We're going to go ahead and save and view page. So it's gonna be loading our game for the first time. Here's it loading. And there we go. It's just Penguin Ice Cream. If you click play, nothing happens. It's just a regular title screen, but that's basically how to download Godot, how to download the export templates, an intro to the Godot workspace, how to create a title screen, and also how to export and upload to itch. So hopefully that was a very comprehensive video. It'll be very helpful for the workshop this upcoming week on how to create this penguin ice game that we have right here. So this is what we are building up to. So this is the title screen for that, and we are building up to creating this game right here. So yeah, thanks so much for watching this video. If there are any confusions about anything in the video, go ahead and ask us either on the CPP Game Design Discord, or if you guys attend the workshop, you guys can go ahead and ask me there. I'm sure there are a lot of things I forgot to go over in this video that we can go ahead and go over in that workshop. So again, thank you so much, guys. Have a great day.